With a reputation as pristine as its spotless streets and gleaming public facilities, Japan has solidified its position as one of the most advanced nations in the world. The country even boasts a homeless population rate of almost 0%, all while countries all around the world continue to battle the escalating homelessness crisis. It's a number all the more impressive considering its population of 125 million. But behind the polite smiles and shiny technology lies the disturbing truth about life in Japanese society and the dark realities that continue to plague the nation. How is Japan able to achieve this 0% homelessness rate? How deep does this issue really go? And what is the true state of its homeless population? This is how Japan solved its homelessness. In May 2023, Japan's Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare revealed to the public a statistic most countries could only dream of. Researchers found only 3,065 homeless people in Japan in early 2023, almost 400 less than the previous year and the lowest since the study began 20 years ago. With an estimated population of 125 million, this makes for a 0.002% homeless population rate. However, like most things in life that seem too good to be true, there is much more to Japan's touted success than meets the eye. While it is irrefutable that Japan's homelessness rate is incredibly low, it's far from what the country purports it to be. If one were to walk around densely populated areas of Japan, the visual presence of the homeless population is much more pronounced than the statistic would suggest. One of the major flaws of this study is its focus on parks and riverside areas. Many of the homeless population camp out in urban environments such as streets, sidewalks, and alleyways, but none of these were considered for the survey. The study also failed to identify reasons for why the figure dropped to a record low. Specifically, was it to the credit of improved government efforts, or does it paint a more grim possibility of death by suicide or from the trappings of a harsh fate? The method of data collection was also incredibly inadequate since researchers only included individuals in the final count if they were present at the specific time of their visit. As the saying goes, the eyes see what they want to see, but it doesn't mean they're not there. The general consensus stands that Japan's homelessness statistics are grossly underestimated. But even if it were to be inflated to more realistic figures, the country still boasts one of the lowest homelessness rates in the world. Naturally, the next question that comes to mind is, how has Japan been able to achieve and maintain the supposed 0%? While the drug epidemic ravages countries in every corner of the globe, Japan looks to have won the war on drugs. The nation is much more tolerant of other vices like heavy smoking and alcohol use, and even its socially accepted cheating culture. But the country maintains such a hard stance on drugs that its drug addiction rate is practically negligible. In most countries, and most strikingly in the US, the homelessness crisis is intertwined with drug addiction and substance abuse. It's impossible to unwind the two without cutting off both heads simultaneously. Japan, on the other hand, has been able to stay ahead of the curve with its strict no-drug policy, thus effectively rooting out one of the leading causes of homelessness. Japan also has a robust healthcare system in place, and its mental health policies have improved significantly over the years, though there is still much to achieve here. Considering the strong intersection between mental health illnesses and homelessness, Japan wins on this front with its low reported figures of individuals with mental conditions. However, these low occurrences may be due to the inclination to underreport mental health conditions of themselves or their loved ones. A strong stigma surrounding mental health still remains within Japanese society, and the country sees one of the highest suicide rates in the world. The public is conditioned to believe that mental health conditions are due to personal weaknesses that can be self-resolved with enough willpower. In the case of homelessness, the Japanese view it as a reversible condition brought onto themselves because of their own laziness and refusal to change their fates. This is especially true for Japanese males, as they are traditionally expected to be providers. Due to prevalent gender norms in Japan, women are more likely to receive empathy and assistance from the public since they are expected to be cared for. This culturally imposed shame causes some to shy away from seeking treatment even when it is available. Others may even reject help due to self-pride, so they remain trapped in the never-ending cycle. Japanese society, in turn, makes a harsh example out of these individuals. The homeless become cruel reminders of the fate that awaits anyone if they become non-productive members of society. Without adequate support systems in place, it is also more challenging for these individuals to reintegrate to society, and so they remain homeless even if their mental health conditions improve. Until public perception and attitude toward mental health conditions ease up, the available government and healthcare support can only do so much. To maintain its low homelessness rate, the Japanese government has also implemented anti-homeless measures in both its policies and architecture. Notably, Japanese laws prohibit begging, and it may constitute a criminal offense. Walk through the busiest streets of its major cities and you'll find it rare to come across beggars. Stacked onto the illegality of begging is the socially extended prejudice that beggars are lazy members of society unwilling to work hard to earn their own money. Its urban spaces are also intentionally filled with hostile architecture targeted at keeping homeless people away. Park benches in Japan often have armrest dividers to deter people from sleeping on them. Tubular benches made out of material that gets hot in the summer and cold in the winter are also found in cities. Some bus stops and train stations have excessively steep benches that make sitting or sleeping impossible. Certain public spaces, such as the outside of malls or parks, have an alarm machine that emits sounds at high frequency to deter loitering teens and prolonged visits from the homeless. It seems then that the societal and physical landscape of Japan in unison have significant compounding effects on reinforcing a small homeless population in the country. It's not unreasonable to challenge that in its plight to prove their diligent efforts are in fact effective, the government is playing clever tricks to massage the numbers of its homeless population. In reality, this 0% homelessness rate fails to properly capture those who are known as the hidden homeless. A large number of this group is made up of predominantly male individuals from what is called the lost generation. These are the unfortunate youth who suffered the wrath of the employment ice age from 1994 to 2004. During this time, companies were fighting to survive the burst of the Japanese bubble economy by shutting recent graduates out of the workforce and protecting older workers instead. As a result, fresh graduates and young professionals were unable to secure stable sources of income and were left to survive on low-paying temporary jobs. Also known as the silent sufferers, most are too poor to start a family and themselves move into old age all alone without financial resources other generations had. Though they may be employed on a day-to-day basis, these individuals simply can't earn enough money to pay rent regularly. They often move between staying at their friends or families for a while before bouncing to 24-hour public facilities like saunas, McDonald's restaurants, and internet cafes. Having been shunned by society their entire adult life, many of these individuals fall victim to social issues such as severe social withdrawal, purposely vanishing without a trace, and high suicide rates. The hidden homeless also aren't as easily identified as homeless because they're caught in a unique predicament in which they're neither able to afford rent or permanent housing, nor are roughing it out on the streets. Some resort to living in 24-hour cyber cafes and try to keep clean as much as possible so they don't look homeless and retain some level of dignity. Known as the cyber homeless or net cafe refugees, this class of homeless people may have odd jobs or make money from recycling and are thus able to afford internet cafe services like showers and food and drinks. Their weak financial power, however, means they can't afford cheap rent in cities like Tokyo, even as rent prices fall and housing supply increases with a shrinking and aging population. This in turn spawned the boom of 24-hour cyber cafes in major cities. As of 2020, an estimated 15,000 people stay overnight in these internet cafes in Tokyo. Though this figure may include drunk Japanese businessmen who miss their train ride home. Not to be forgotten are the individuals that seek refuge in homeless shelters. While they may be temporarily off the streets, these individuals still live in often dire conditions not too dissimilar from the officially homeless. Some make the extra effort to stay invisible, like waiting until the dark of night to return to the shelters so they don't get in anyone's way. And the Japanese public and government like to keep it that way. Out of sight, out of mind. Prior to 2000, the country didn't even have a national budget for homeless welfare. These days, the overall attitude toward homeless shelters has improved significantly, with certain support facilities focusing most resources on helping residents find work. Some even stay in touch with residents after they've found employment to help ensure they don't stray back to old ways. It's not a perfect system, but it's a step in the right direction. When it comes to the grip on homelessness, it's clear that Japan stacks up favorably against most countries. The official 0% homelessness rate may come with a very large asterisk, but it's still a commendable statistic, especially on a global scale. It's a particularly sharp dig at other nations like the US, which continues to fight the uphill battle against the homelessness epidemic. But more importantly, the near-perfect statistic reveals the darker underbelly of Japan's true state of homelessness and the grim realities that continue to haunt its unfortunate victims. Until a major shift occurs in the public consciousness, Japan will never be able to truly solve its homelessness issue. But it can certainly claim to. After all, 0% is still a major victory no matter how you slice it. So what do you think about Japan's homelessness issue? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.